2020 has been very disappointing for me games wise, but I have to say that I feel like there is a light at the end of this tunnel. Before I begin, you might hear a lot of banging, a lot of noise coming from outdoors because there's a lot of construction going on where I live at the moment, so unfortunately we have to deal with the noise. With that said, this is going to be a spoiler-free review. However, I'm going to be referencing content from the previous game, so if you have not played the previous game and do want to play the previous game and don't want me spoiling it for you, then ladies and gentlemen, this is your warning. Okay, I think I've given you enough time. This is your warning. This is your warning. Don't say I didn't warn you. That is so cheesy. Spider-Man Miles Morales is the second installment in the Spider-Man series, and it is developed again by Insomniac Games and published by Sony exclusively for the PlayStation 4 and the PlayStation 5. I played this game on my PS4 because, unlike the rest of the world, I have not purchased the PS5 yet, simply because I like to wait till all the kinks have been worked out, because if anyone was one of the first people to buy the Xbox 360, then you know about the red rings of death, and that is just not something that I wanted to deal with again, and I feel like I am digressing from what this video is about. But yeah, Spider-Man Miles Morales, this is an action-adventure game, pretty much like its predecessor. So this version of Spider-Man is set in Harlem, in New York City, well, Marvel's iteration of New York City. And if you remember from the previous game, Miles lost his father, who he was very close to. He was really sad, so he got taken under Peter Parker's wing and was working in this charitable organization called Feast. I think it's something for the homeless, I can't quite remember. But anyways, he's working with Peter Parker at Feast, and little does he know that Peter Parker is Spider-Man, and Peter is mentoring him as Miles and would eventually mentor him as Spider-Man. What are the chances, right? Crazy. Anyway, Miles gets bitten by a radioactive spider. He starts to display these powers. He finds out Peter Parker is Spider-Man. Peter Parker finds out that he's also got Spidey powers. I cannot remember in what order any of that happens in the previous game, but it happens. And this game picks up a year after those events, a year and a little bit maybe, I'm not quite sure, but a year. And it is clear that Spider-Man has shown the new Spider-Man the ropes, and it is also evident that the people in New York City have accepted the fact that there are two Spideys swinging through the city, one being more popular than the other because one is older, more seasoned, and the other is the young Spidey. But everyone is cool with the fact that there are two Spider-Men in the city. Everyone apart from Jameson, of course, who just hates Spider-Man. But yeah, so this picks up where that left off. It turns out that Peter Parker has to go off somewhere with his girlfriend, who's doing some work in some war-torn country. He leaves Miles in charge of New York City, and not long after he leaves, a threat reveals itself, because of course, what would a Spider-Man game be without a threat for you to defeat? So anyways, he leaves, and Miles discovers a threat, and this threat is between an energy corporation, like one of these big energy corporations, and a very high-tech underground criminal organization. And this threat is going to cause a lot of havoc, especially to his beloved Harlem, and so he has to find a way to defeat this threat. And as you progress through the game, he finds out more about who he is as a young man and what kind of powers he possesses as Spider-Man. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is pretty much what this game is about. So the campaign, I can't talk. The campaign for this game is not very long. It is about 5 to 6 hours maybe. So not very long at all, a lot shorter than the previous game. And in this game, like the previous one, there is a lot of stealth and quick time events and web swinging, which I personally really loved. And there are so many perks that you get, or XP, from just doing crazy things when you're swinging around the city. And I found the web swinging to be an improvement on the previous game. It was just a bit more fluid for me, and considering I loved the web swinging feature in the previous game, that's saying a lot about how much they improved it in this game. So it's really fun to swing through the city. It's the combat, there are so many moves that you cannot possibly do everything in one playthrough, which kind of then enhances the replay value of this game because there's so much for you to do. And another thing is that Miles's powers are a bit more different than the original Spider-Man, a bit more different than Peter Parker's powers, which kind of gives it a different feel. You know, you get to do a lot of crazy fun things. So the gameplay for this game was so enjoyable, so much fun, so many new things to discover, very replayable. So yeah, great, I loved it. Let's talk about visuals very quickly because there's not much to say. It is visually stunning. What can I say? Insomniac did a great job of bringing New York City to life with these beautiful skylines, and the snow just gives it this winter wonderland feel, and it just makes this concrete jungle very beautiful to view, especially from like these high-rise buildings when you're swinging around. It's just really stunning, you know. So I mean, that's all I can say about that. It is a visually stunning game, and I cannot wait to see what this actually looks like on the PS5. That will be very exciting. Let's talk about music. The music in this game, the soundtrack in this game is phenomenal. Every song choice perfectly complemented the scenes in which it was played. It was just really nice. It very modern, and I found myself getting into songs that I probably would never have listened to were it not for this game. So it is a very good soundtrack, and I do suggest that you check it out if you have the time. There are some great songs on there. So yeah, that's all I have to say about that. Issues that I have with this game are very tiny and somewhat irrelevant to my enjoyment of the game, and probably would be very irrelevant to you. I'm not even quite sure why I'm bringing them up. It's the same issues that I had with the last game, which is that the NPCs are very unresponsive. A lot of the time when Spider-Man is in their midst, it's almost as though he's not there. Granted, there are some times when people do respond, but then I found that people were responding repetitively. So something that happened in this part of the city would be the same thing that happened when he popped up in another part of the city. And so I found that to be a bit lazy, but you know, it's not really relevant in the grand scheme of things, and it definitely does not affect the enjoyment of the game. So like I said, it's very irrelevant, but you know, those are the things that I did notice that I didn't quite like. And also the buildings are very cut and paste, so you look into one building and it looks exactly it's exactly the same as the next building. It was just all samey, so there wasn't a lot of effort that went into that. But then again, you're not going into the building, so it's not very relevant, and I suppose they were saving money by doing that rather than spending a lot of money trying to make a building look completely different with every apartment. I guess that would have been pointless. So yeah, those are the few issues that I did have with the game. Not very relevant at all. Also, I will add that there were a few glitches in the game, but then I suppose that is to be expected with a brand new game, and I'm sure there will be patches to fix the glitches. I found some really funny ones, but I don't want to spoil the game, so I'm not going to say what they were. But yeah, there are a few glitches that were just really random. I'll see if I can include a photo of one of the glitches in this video for your reference and entertainment. So all in all, I think that this game, even though it's very short, is such a great game. And despite the fact that it's short, the campaign at least, you have a lot of side missions that make up for the fact that the campaign itself is not very long. And if you want to delay gratification, then you can just finish all the side missions before you continue with the campaign, and that way it gives you longer gameplay. Well, either that or you can finish the game and then go to your side missions. It really just depends on what kind of player you are. The final battle in this game was phenomenal. It was so much fun to play, so much fun to watch, just visually. They just paid great attention to the story and the way that it came off on screen. So, you know, it was just stunning. It beat the last game hands down. Very beautiful to watch, just an epic battle. And if you do not enjoy this final battle, then I will be very surprised. This game does what an action adventure game should do. It's just great. So I think that Spider-Man Miles Morales is a very solid game. So much fun. I would highly recommend it. It is worth getting, worth spending your money on, and has a lot of replay value. It is a good game, and I feel like I would probably give this game an 8 out of 10, just because I can think of a bunch of games that I enjoyed far more than this game. But this is a great game, worth a buy, definitely. So yeah, thanks again guys for tuning in, for watching. Please like, please leave a comment, please subscribe, and most importantly, please come back and watch some more videos. Thank you guys, have a wonderful week. Much love.